Welcome back to the short bus build. Let's talk floors and passenger seat. I will say this right off the bat. I didn't think that removing my existing floor was going to be worth my time or money, so I just ended up removing these easy to remove strips that were going to make the floor even more uneven, and I moved forward. I knew I wanted a passenger seat for safety reasons, and since it was going to be kitty corner for my driver's seat, I knew it was going to stick out more into the hallway than the previous old bus seats. So I decided to remove this nice little step down from the driver's seat to add a little more living space in my entryway. To add more floor space, I used some 2x6s that I cut down, some L brackets, and nut certs that bolted down into the floor to keep it all secure. Once that was done, I secured these seat rails from a Ford Transit van, and I was able to start cutting my insulation board. I knew I was going to lose some headroom when I put my floor down, so I ended up deciding on 1-inch rigid foam board and 1/2-inch plywood. I needed enough insulation to try to keep the cold out and enough plywood to be able to secure things like my dinette. I used a multi-tool to carve out space for the rails so they would sit flush with the floor. You're not going to see them once the vinyl plank flooring goes in later. And then, as I went from the front to the back of the bus, I used my foam board as a template for each piece of plywood. I busted out the jigsaw and my circular saw to cut everything out, and I could hardly believe it, but it fit like a glove. Most of the pieces just needed to have the ends chopped off, so they fit the width of the bus. And then I used Thompson's water sealer on every piece of plywood to seal it and give me any fighting chance that once I had my flooring down on top, it would withstand any moisture or water that found its way in. Remember my comment about safety? I see videos of people online walking around their bus while it's in motion, sitting at the dinette, laying in the bed. Y'all, I have personally experienced friends that had a rollover accident in their school bus, and if their passenger wasn't in her passenger seat with her seatbelt on, I don't want to know what would have happened. Highway driving, mountain driving, it doesn't matter. Please, please, please install safe passenger seats with seatbelts. Back to finishing the floor. When I was doing my research, I read somewhere that things that can't move won't squeak. So I used almost 20 tubes of Loctite foam board adhesive. I was not messing around. Once the foam board was in place, I screwed in every single piece of plywood with a bunch of deck screws. This secured my new floor to my existing floor. Boom, and just like that, it's on to the next project.